All right, welcome back to Old Grappler.
The old grappler, subscribe, make a comment, drop a comment, do what you gotta do. I don't know how this works, but check it out, man.
Try to get me in a room, yeah. Everybody wanna talk, why? Always coming with the tunes, they know I'ma take it far, right? Something I already knew, yeah. Never needed your applause, nah. They been saying it's a fluke, this is not a false alarm, nah, it's not.
My guest today is Tony. I'll let you introduce yourself, where you train, or here at your studio, what your studio name is, belt rank.
Yeah, yeah. First of all, welcome, Jose. I really
Yes.
appreciate you guys coming down. Jesse as well. I'm Tony Cato. I am the head black belt here at Sensei Studio headquarters in Modesto, California. We have about maybe 100 or so, 110 kids, maybe about the same in adults, 100, 150. We're only less than 3 years old. Our 3-year anniversary comes up here in November. I hope you can come. Make
That's
sure
what
you're
Mike
here.
was saying.
Yeah, 11/11 is our anniversary. It'll be our 3-year anniversary. We're currently under Caito, part of CTA. Really wonderful, amazing group out there based out of San Jose. It's only, for the people that don't know, it's about 2 hours, less than about an hour and a half from here. And I'm a first degree black belt. I'm doing my second here coming up pretty soon. And I started originally back in the 90s, Half Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, Mountain View, California.
Okay.
Long time ago, 1993. But just like many of us that started way back in the day, life happens.
Right.
And eventually, training for a little bit, I developed some tumors. I broke my collarbone. They did some x-rays. They found tumors in my brain, my cerebellum, spinal cord, and my chest. And I had to take a long stay away from jiu-jitsu. But eventually made my way back, started all over. Had to get my motor skills back. You might have seen from some of the videos on my Instagram, I had to learn how to walk and talk again back in 2008. 2012, I had the second part of the 3-part surgery, which was the tumors in my spinal cord. So I had to have C3, 4, 5, and 6 removed, cadaver bones put in, and a metal plate right in this incision here. You saw the big scar on the back of my head?
Yes.
That was 2008. This one was 2012. And I'm praying now, like, that I've just turned 50. I told myself I was going to wait for the rest of this, the last surgery, to get the tumors out of my chest to 50. So my focus here has been to develop other trainers to kind of hold the reins while I go to the next phase of my life,
Right.
which is taking care of the rest of it. So, yeah, but it's been a beautiful journey so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a wonderful place here.
Hey, thank you, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. That means a lot. Really means a lot to me.
Yeah, this second time that I've been here, like I said, we came with
For my good
Craig,
friend Naf,
Neff,
yeah, for his memorial. That was a tough loss for us.
Yeah.
Very tough loss for us. Him and I have been friends many years. You'll develop these relationships with people that, and it's a little bit of a you know, sweet and sour relationship with people that you kind of train daily to beat each other up, and then over the years, you know, you're kind of all banged up. You wake up one day and you're 50. Neff was about, I think, 48.
Okay.
And we both shared the same heart mentality of serving the youth, especially on this side of Modesto. Right on the other side of the freeway is some of the roughest parts of Modesto. So reaching out to the kids right there, the freeway is right there on the other side, the west side. We have a lot of youth that we want to reach out to. So we're gonna, even though he's passed, we started an academic scholarship in his name. You saw that day.
Yes.
We gave out, we've already given out, I think, 7 scholarships, Anna, something like that, 7 total. 14 kind of like in general youth in the area. But we're going to continue to do this, you know.
It's a good thing.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I seen something on social media the other day, like every kid deserves to train.
Yeah.
The unfortunate part is not every kid has the resources to train unless someone does something like what you're doing.
It can be very tough, you know, and that's why when this opportunity came up in this 6,000 square foot warehouse, I didn't know how we were going to make this happen. This is too big for me, you know. This was at the beginning of when the first COVID restrictions started coming out and they were shutting everything down. I lost everything I had in the barbershop that we had downtown, and we had to shut down, and this opportunity came up, and the bill was just bigger than I could ever imagine, but the owner was willing to work with us, and I told him the vision and how I thought we could make a healthy contribution to the youth in this area. because even if they don't have the means to get here, maybe we could figure that piece out.
Mm-hmm.
But they can walk right across, you know, they're within walking distance, and
Right.
how could I say no, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm Castro's Full Service. What am I saying? Check. I'd like to say thank you to our sponsor, Castro's Pool Service and Repair. Phone number 209-675-5418. I am Castro's Pool Service and Repair. Thanks. The old grappler just awarded my blue belt. I've been coaching wrestling for about 14 years now. When I get in there, it is like everything just goes away. Like you're in there coaching on the mat for jiu-jitsu. It's a way of therapy. The old grappler.
originally you're from the Bay Area?
Yeah, I was born in San Francisco, raised throughout the entire Bay Area. My mom and dad split up when I was younger, and we didn't live with a lot. There's many times we were homeless, living out of a car from park to park, and she worked in thrift stores, and then she also worked throughout like Redwood City, San Carlos area, cleaning motel rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times I had to switch schools like almost every year throughout the Bay Area, and the only toys I had was whatever I could fit in a shoebox. And we were in a big Lincoln Continental. It was like a 1979 Lincoln Continental 4-door, like a big boat. And that was just life growing up in the Bay Area for me. But it wasn't very, like I said, I think God blessed me with those type of experiences so that I have compassion for the kids in like situations out here.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, born and raised throughout the Bay Area. Yeah.
So you said you started training in '93.
Yeah, so Mike Prudencio, who started One World Jiu-Jitsu,
Yes.
him and I grew up together, and through high school we were really big on martial arts. We thought we were pretty good at it. We were in Kajikembo for a while. Mike just a little bit longer than I, and I want to say like in high school we thought we could hold our own,
Mm-hmm.
And then one day Mike said, "Hey, I'm gonna quit Kajikembo and I'm gonna go do this jiu-jitsu thing." And back then you didn't have like now where you can just Google stuff,
Right. Yeah.
So I said, "Well, what is this jiu-jitsu? You want to like climb walls and wear a mask?" I thought it was ninjutsu, I didn't know I didn't know what jiu-jitsu was. Like we gonna throw ninja stars or something like that, And he goes, "No, man, it's not like that." He goes, "Man, there's this little guy, Hoist Gracie. Hoist Gracie's out there killing guys, and I ordered a VHS tape. I want you to see it when I get out of the first UFC,
Yes.
And he goes, "Anyway, he's got a cousin out this way named Half, and he's out in Mountain View, which is we were living in Fremont at the time."
Uh-huh.
And he said, "So I've been trying it out, and you should quit and come with me." And I said, "Well, try it out for a little bit longer and get back to me. Let me know how it goes." So he quit, and I was still stuck at now Kajikembo. Pretty much, he was like my big friend, my big sparring partner at the time. So then one day he would just always ask me, "Hey, you gotta quit this. You gotta come do this." And so he showed me the tape. And I was like, "Bro, you want to wrap your legs around guys, man? What's wrong with you?" Like I wasn't homophobic, but it was just like, this is like, you didn't do that kind of stuff during that time. So this would have been the early 90s, so 93. And he said, "Man, I'm telling you right now, this is real. This is real. All that stuff we've been learning, yeah, if you get the first punch, good, but someone can catch you too. What's going to happen when you go to the ground?" He goes, "How many times have we been in fights in Fremont when we were in high school?
Right.
We were in group fights, being knuckleheads." He goes, "How many times did it get to the ground?" And I'm like, yeah, I get it." So I went for my first class, and this 15-year-old man, one round, tapped me 7 times. And 15 years old, literally. I went there, back then it was kickskin gis. They were like big bell-bottom gis. Back in the day, that was the brand of gi that they had at House back then. They had other ones too, but Dave Camarillo was there, Cameron Earl was there. People don't know those names as much, but Cameron Earl beat Marcelo Garcia like twice. People don't really talk about that.
Right.
To me, Marcelo is like a god to me. But there were some tough dudes in that academy during that time. And but I was at the level of below this 15-year-old, and I was like, man, it really opened my eyes. Like you think you're a badass until that happens, and then you realize, wow, this kid, if I had to fight this kid in the street, he would kill me, So it was a very eye-opening
Gives you
experience.
perspective, right?
Man, it really does.
And it's humbling.
It's humbling. little bit of a rougher crowd back then. You know, the House
Yes.
Gracie time, during that time period, nobody kind of knew what this was really about. It was kind of like a hidden secret and this hidden gem for a while. All those guys were tough. All of them were tough. So I appreciate those days. I'm a different guy now. Carlos Sapone's still a really good friend of mine.
Yes.
Yeah, he's
the
been out
one
here a
that
few
did the
times. Yeah.
seminar.
He was head black belt over there for a while too, and he's always still a near dear friend of mine. He comes out here regularly. He's like a brother to me. We speak regularly, but we're different people now. Those days are, you know, you gather what you can from it, but I think now the more gentler, more kinder side is the right way to train. You know, it's not a
Right.
sprint. It's definitely a marathon.
Yes. Yeah. So, you said Kaji Kembo?
Kaji Kembo, yeah, that was like the dirty form of karate back then. You know, it was a group of like guys from Hawaii that started like this grungy. Kaji Kembo was like a grungy form of street karate back then.
Okay.
We thought it was pretty cool. I mean, there's no shame on those. Those guys were good. I was under Greg Lagera, who is a known kind of bad guy in the Bay Area. It's a
Kempo karate.
Oh, you did
so-
come. Yes, yeah. You know, there's not much to say. I also want to make a point to say that we shouldn't shun any other the martial arts as
No.
well.
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
just we didn't do any ground stuff at that time. It was very foreign, very foreign. I think these days you go to some of these karate schools, they know to incorporate some ground, at least some. They can't deny it. But back then, you were either kung fu, you were kung fu.
Right.
You were, you know, you were karate, you were karate. There was no like mixed martial
Blending.
arts didn't come until
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Later. Yeah.
There wasn't no cross training and all that.
So Mike was doing. I remember Mike. I was already now hooked on jiu-jitsu. He was cross training at Kung Lee's in San Jose. So
Okay.
Kung Lee was a pretty well-known
Yes.
kickboxer during that time. So he was getting his striking in there and jiu-jitsu over at House. But you know, but again, like time progresses, and then I developed these health conditions, and it kind of took me out for a while. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, when you went through that health issue,
Yeah.
time frame wise, how long were you out for?
Years. So I was also a single father raising my boys alone. I have 5 boys and 1 girl. My oldest son, Anthony, he's the one of the head black belts at Meraki's down in SoCal. He was just a kid. As I was recovering from the brain surgery, I put my kids back in house school. By then he had a school in Dublin, and I lived in San Ramon with raising my older boys. And so I put them, as soon as Half took over that school in Dublin, I put them back there, and Half remembered me from the 90s, but I just wasn't very, I was a very high risk patient still with all the other tumors, especially the ones in my spinal cord.
Right.
So as much as I wanted to train, I just had to wait it out till at least I got this one done. The ones in my chest don't really bother me, but the brain one was starting to cause paralyzation on my left side, and then the one in my spinal cord was starting to really impinge the flow of brain fluid to my brain. So it was a very touchy time for me, especially being a single dad, you know?
Right.
Trying to figure that piece out as well. It's not like, again, it's not like, back then I think you had like the dial-up internet, but you had they had this place called a library. I don't know if people know what that is. It's a place with books. I don't know if people know what books are, but there's these libraries, and I used to have to go to these libraries to read books on how to raise kids because I was trying to figure this out.
Right.
You know, and then so jiu-jitsu wasn't.
You
really
found
my
a
mind.
book on that, huh?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you
How to
what it
raise
was. Yeah, it was Focus on the Family. That's the title of it. And it was some pastor guy that wrote on the Christian side or Christian perspective of raising kids. So it was a focus on the family. I forgot which volume it was, but it was specific toward families that were like usually single parent families. So, but here's the turning point. The turning point was when Half, my oldest son, now a black belt, back then, white belt, getting his first stripes. I have a picture of it that I'll send to you. Half was putting on his first stripe on his belt. And it was the first time I saw this glow on my at the time, oldest son's face. He was probably 7 years old. And I remember being jealous. I remember looking at that like, man, if I not have quit, you know?
Oh,
had
like
I,
jealous in the moment that
yeah, like
you could have been
I could have
putting
been
it
the
on.
one doing that honor for my son,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So it's bittersweet, right? Because now we fast forward, and then I got back into it. I moved out to Modesto. Nobody knew me. I started training under another academy over here where nobody knew me, and I felt horrible because it's like walking. You guys just walk normal. For me, after the surgeries, I have to actually throw my foot forward to walk. It's different. So it's kind of like I have Android. My wife and my kids, they all have iPhones. They all want me to get an iPhone. But for me to get an iPhone today and navigate is lost. But you understand screens, you understand what Google does, you understand what
Right.
YouTube does, but navigating is hard. So that's what happened after my brain surgery and the spinal cord surgery. I knew what the end result was supposed to look like in these techniques, but I couldn't get there because navigating was like new screens, you know?
Yeah.
So it was very frustrating, but this academy that I was with, they really allowed me to learn, and then allowed me to teach kids class, and then I worked my way up, and then eventually on my second life in Jiu-Jitsu was able to get my black belt, and then start all of this. But here's the sweet part of the bitter part of my son getting a stripe from Elf. I wasn't able to tie his stripe on his first on his white belt, but I worked it out with his head black belt in LA to bring him up here as a brown belt to promote him to black belt here. So I wasn't able to tie his stripe, but I was able to tie his black belt.
That's
so
sweet.
It came full circle for me, you know.
That's
That was
cool.
special.
Yeah.
That was the mission. That was my driving mission. Was I wanted to redeem myself from the time that I had to quit for a while, but at the same time, like I felt what my son. I saw the brightness in his eyes and spirit when he got promoted. And I was like, every kid should have that.
Yeah.
Every kid should have that moment, that feeling, even if it doesn't come from their parent, but just to go somewhere where they feel a sense of achievement, of something real.
Right.
Not something where they win a high score on, we're saving the world 12 times on some video game, and then as soon as they turn it off, they're back to shit again,
Right.
and being nobody, and then they get depressed, So here, the kids achieve something real,
Right. I like that. Like coming from the adult side of that, like what we had like a stripe promotion a few weeks ago, right? My coach is Craig.
Yes,
You know Craig.
yeah, of course.
And like we're fairly new. This month is 2 years that he's been there, that we've had a jiu-jitsu program in our gym, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And when it first started, I don't know, we had to have been like maybe 6 months in or so, and we got a stripe. And like that day I was like, that's cool, right? And then like later on we just kept going and going and going, and I started competing. Like I competed right away.
Yeah.
But the stripes didn't mean anything to me.
No, yeah.
Right? Like after that first one, like I was excited for the first one. But after that, like I got to tournaments and I seen guys with 2, 3, 4 stripes on their belt. And like, it's almost like you're giving those stripes value. They're still a person that's training like you are,
Yeah.
that has to go out and see if their game is going to work against
Sure.
you, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
when I went in and I seen these guys, I was like seeing the stripes, and then we got on the mat and actually combat.
Right.
I felt like the stripes didn't mean anything after that. I was able to win a couple tournaments, so I was like, okay, like just keep training.
Yeah.
The promotions, the stripes, whatever they'll happen, they happen.
Yeah.
And it does,
Yeah.
So I got 1 stripe on the white belt, and then I got promoted to blue, right?
Yeah.
And then we did he did stripes the other day. So we had class on Thursday night. He stripes like all the white belts.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and then he striped me, and then that Saturday or Sunday we went to a seminar up at San Lorenzo, and it was me and another lady that trains with us, and he asked us about the stripes, and I was just like, and he's all, what is the and I'm like, Coach, we've had this conversation before, like after the first stripe, it doesn't really, for me, I didn't really care about the stripes anymore.
Sure.
Like it's just it's just a signal of progress.
That's it.
Right?
Time
Like,
spent in progress.
but I know I'm there. I know I'm putting
Yeah.
in the time. When it
Yeah.
happens, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's just you still need to show up.
The interesting thing that when it comes to the mentality behind promotions, different strokes for different folks. Some people
Yeah.
don't need the piece of tape.
Right.
For little kids, that piece of tape,
It's
man,
the world.
huge, right? But for the adults, like I've never really been big on stripes either. My wheel is over there that shows all my different belts on the journey to black, and some of them only have 2 stripes or 3 stripes. But I always remind folks, you got to remember, everybody's training to get better every single day too, and everybody's learning curve is different.
Different.
Everybody has different availabilities to be able to spend the amount of time that they do on the mat. What you should be doing, if you do at all look at the stripes on your belt, is you now as a 2 stripe or 3 stripe, what could you have done had you have fought yourself at 1 stripe? There should be a substantial difference. It should be a substantial growth. So if you were to take your 1st stripe, which meant a little something, 2nd stripe really didn't mean anything, but if you had to fight yourself to the death, fighting the guy that was at 1 stripe, it's night and day between stripes.
Yes.
It's night and day. So maybe you don't see the progress against the guy that gives you a hard time on the mat today. But if you reflect on where you were back then,
Right.
is night and day between stripes. You know, because sometimes stripes is what, every 6 months or 3 to 6 months, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
But somebody who's training 2-3 times a day, they might get striped up in the next belt within the same year. You just never know. So the comparison should never be you versus your teammates. It should be you versus you.
Yep.
And even the guys that start here after 3 months, like, hey, I don't know, am I progressing? I feel like I'm not progressing. How long you been here? Oh, 3 months. If you had to fight yourself to the death the day you walked in here for the very first time, what would you do? You're gonna learn something about their personalities. Because the 2 popular answers are this: I would fuck that dude up. That's one of them. Okay,
After 3 months.
I would fuck that dude up, right? But something will be different if you're a blue belt going to purple belt, talking about what you would do had you on the day that you first walked in. Typically what happens is they say, I would subdue the person and I would show them mercy. It's a different mentality. So the white belts that usually come in, it's like they already have this idea, it's a kill or be killed mentality, depending on the nature of your gym. You know, different gyms, different strokes for different folks, right? I don't knock it. For here, we're a very respectable, loving family group here.
Yeah.
This is how I like it here.
Yes.
I've gone to gyms where the testosterone's pretty thick right when you walk in through the doors. I don't knock it. It might be just that the character of that area, and they have to be that way, and that's what motivates them in that area. So I don't knock it. For us, it's not like that here. But I will say this, over time, as you get off maybe from the blue to purple, you should be thinking, and your mentality should change where you're a little bit more merciful.
Yeah.
This is why I get a little bit bothered when I hear comments from people saying, oh, as a purple belt, you should just be beating up every blue belt. What does that mean? I have some blue belts that are really good that could keep up. And then I have some blue belts that have no athleticism at all. And they're up there in age. So what, you should destroy those guys too?
Yeah.
No, there should be a level of professionalism, but also there should be a level of where you have the right personality to know when to apply and when to not apply so much pressure. There should be a balance of that there, you know. Have to catch that mentality early, because as you're developing as a white belt, you're really just trying to figure it all out, and you're just trying to survive. And so you're so wrapped up in that, you're not thinking in terms of, well, you know, I would control the situation and maybe talk to the guy. Like I tell my guys here, like if you get in a bar fight out here, I would hope that you wouldn't do something to get yourself put in jail for a long time, if not forever. I would hope that you would control the situation and then tell the guy, look, I'm gonna let you go, let's just pretend this didn't happen. You know, I would hope you'd be that guy, instead of the guy that's like, I'm gonna fuck you up, or I'm gonna fuck, you know, like. I remember that mentality from way back when. It doesn't have to be like this. Now, you know, I think I think you learn and you train so that you can be in control. This is a control game, right? It's not just a kill, break bones, and choke. It's like you're controlling the situation, and then maybe let a little bit of your humanity out and a little bit of compassion for the person that you could kill if you wanted to, but you know you don't have to. This is what I would think we should develop more early on.
Limit the damage.
Exactly. There comes a point, like even you now, you know, and the little that we did earlier, I would think there comes a point where you know when somebody's just crushed, and it's not going to teach them anything to just crush them all the way through. You'll have other
Yeah,
people, you know what I
yeah.
mean? It's better to be like, you have it, they're not tapping, let it move on to something else. But don't ruin the dance, you know? Like you
Yes.
have a full 4 minute, 5 minute, 7 minute round. Enjoy your dance throughout. Move on. You don't have to kill everybody all the
Right.
time. You know? I understand the people, I came from that mentality. Health was all about kill
Yeah.
back then, you know? But I also know Health now. He's a lot more compassionate now than he was back then.
Right.
You can start there.
The times,
The times have changed, yeah, for sure, yeah. But the bigger picture, Jose, is the nature of your gym. I would put it out there to the other gym owners. Just think about what positive influence you can have in the community you're in,
Right.
more than anything else. It's not like that board of everybody, like all of our people that win at tournaments and stuff like this. Okay, that's cool. That's enough to tell people like, hey, the stuff we teach, it works pretty good. We have all, you know, but once that's out of the way, it's how many kids can you bring in here to make a positive influence on? We have a big problem now, and I would say it starts with understanding the why behind what you're doing, you know. And I don't mean to ramble, but
right.
the reality is you're going to have all these gym owners that are going to listen to this, and they have instructors under them, like I have instructors that some of them you met today. Do they understand the why behind what they're doing? Is it just to smash people? Is it just to, you know, let people know they're a badass? Or is there a bigger picture in this, and that's to help out in the community God put you, whatever your belief is, Muhammad, universe, God, whatever that is. This is where you are, and are you exercising all your options to make a positive influence there? Our kids are in a big trouble right now. It's a big problem right now.
Yeah. I think there's too much influence outside, right? Like,
I think it's worse than what people think, you know? I saved something on my phone. Do you mind if I read this to you?
go ahead.
Anybody could look this up. This is 2021. Just some basic statistics, okay? This is on the youth of today.
That's on that Android phone.
Yes, on the Android. You put this on an iPhone, I wouldn't be able to. Let me read you this statistic. According to the new data, 2021, more than a third, 37% of high school students reported poor mental health during COVID-19 pandemic. 37%. Reported. Jose, what that means is these are the kids that were brave enough to say something about it.
Right.
There's an even bigger number of people, kids.
That are afraid to say something.
Yeah, afraid to say something. 37%, okay? 44% reported they persistently felt sad or hopeless during this past year. This was 2021. It's up 30%, bro. It's up 30% going into 2023, okay? But listen to these statistics. More than half, 55, so of that 33%, in 2021, more than half reported they experienced emotional abuse by a parent or other adult in the home, including swearing at, insulting, or putting down the student. 11% experienced physical abuse by a parent or adult in the home, including hitting, beating, kicking, physically hurting the student, so on and so forth. More than a quarter, 29%, reported a parent or adult in their home lost their job. I really don't think, I have no way of wrapping my brain around this.
Right.
I really don't think we spend enough time sitting down with our staff in these academies to say, look, do you understand the why behind what you're doing, especially with the youth classes? Very tough class, by the way. Jeff Glover used to say this, if you want to help your academy out, help out in the kids class.
Yeah.
That's the biggest contribution you can make in your academy. But we never go into the why. You realize how bad the situation is there. That's just focused on the kids, right? But where's the root of the problem? It's with the adults around those kids. This place, and you've been doing this for how long now?
Jiu-Jitsu, 2 years.
2 years. Have you witnessed people come in and become a better person in just 2 years?
Yeah.
Night and day, like night and day. If we would, through people like you, start talking more about the value of what these gyms have to offer, outside of gold medals, competing, and all the bragging rights and all that, if through people like you, we could communicate to the jiu-jitsu community and say, hey, look, sit your staff down and let's talk about the kids in this area. Mm-hmm. Imagine the impact you would not only have on the kids, but if we can change the adults to be better adults, how would we then impact the kids? I've seen it here. My staff will tell you the same thing. I've seen it where you've had the person with military PTSD from serving in some place, and in tears in 1 year come to me or any of my staff to say, had it not have been for this place, I probably wouldn't have stuck it out with my family. I probably wouldn't. I was a horrible, horrible, horrible person. And because of a place like this, I can't thank you enough for keeping this thing going. That's a big deal, bro. That's a big deal, especially when that one person has 4 or 5 kids. What do you think that home life is now like, now that they've become a better person here? And then when you see here, the beautiful thing about here, that I only know here because this is where I'm at, when you start seeing families with the kids training one session, and then the kids are able to play out there in the patio area, and then the parents are training.
Right.
Oh, this is priceless, bro. Bigger than any medal to me, bigger than any, right? I think we can move the needle on this, but we have to talk about it.
Right. We're really trying to do that at our gym.
Yes.
At Strike in Los Banos.
Yeah.
They're what we have, like we have an all-around gym. There's Muay Thai, boxing, wrestling, Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes.
And then a fitness side.
Yes.
Right?
Sound familiar?
So,
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
something for everybody.
At the 4:30 class for the kids, so there's a 3:30 for beginner kids and a 4:30 for the advanced kids.
Yeah.
So when those kids come in for Muay Thai, there's classes going on the other side.
Yes.
So instead of the parent just sitting there watching,
Yeah.
they can be there and get a workout in too.
Yes.
And if the parent is gonna do the adult Muay Thai class, there's another class going on for fitness that the kids are welcome to join.
Yes.
So it
Becomes a family activity.
We're really trying to push that.
Yeah. Because what you're left with without that is what? You left, not just dysfunction, but when you have divorce 1 out of every 2, which is apparently higher now these days, but you have single family homes, the child is left to the influence of social media or the video games or the chat rooms in the video games. And this is not working.
No.
We know it's not working.
Right.
So this is what I'm hoping we can leave your viewers with today, that the ones that have academies. Do just a little bit of research. Find out what's going on with the youth in your area and see how you can help. Fuck the cities and all the financing they get. Let me just say that. Because let me give you one example. Fuck the city group in this place. It makes me mad. You know what they opened here? They got over $1 million contribution. You know what they opened over here? A fucking art museum. How does that help with bullying? How does that help with these kids that are exposed to drug abuse? And if, you think somebody who's contemplating suicide is, you know what? I was going to kill myself, but thank God I saw a nice drawing at the art museum last week when we went on a field trip. $1 million.
How many people are going to go to an art
You're going to tell
museum?
me, so this is, and I'm sorry for the cursing, but I want people to feel the passion. Don't wait for a handout from the government. Don't wait.
Right.
Don't wait. Make that shit happen in your academy. Don't wait for some nonprofit, all that other stuff. You want to give out an academic scholarship? Give out the damn scholarship. We have, 4 or 5 people here giving us their report cards? They have to maintain a 3.0 or above, and they can train here. Yeah, I mean, we're not rich. Like, this is everything we have. We're not rich at all.
Right.
We're not rich at all. But if you're waiting because you want a nonprofit ID and you're waiting for funding, what does that have to do with the kids right now? You're waiting for what? Because the lifestyle that they're living right now that could be to their demise isn't waiting. It's trying to ruin them now. So for the viewers that own academies, I urge you, figure out where your hotspots are in your city. See what impact you can make with that youth and make that shit happen. Make it happen. If the funding comes later on, who knows? Maybe one of the kids you help out has some rich dad or mom somewhere and they're like, hey, you changed the life of my son or my daughter. Here's a checkbook. I've seen it happen. It's happened here many times where somebody's like, you did so much here. I want to give back. I want to sponsor some of these kids. I'll pay for their tournament. I'll pay for their gi. It happens here. I think God, universe, Muhammad, whatever you believe in, Buddha, it'll put your heart in the right place and make that shit happen. Don't wait for handouts.
Right.
Make that shit happen.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm being on a tangent, but
You're good.
That's what this place is about.
This
It's not about a
podcast
flag.
is about that right
yeah.
there.
If we don't do this, if we don't start making better adults now, what's the future look like later on for these youth, you know? I love...
It's not trending in the right direction.
No.
That's
Every
for sure.
Thanksgiving, we do Thanksgiving lunches here. First thing in the morning, we have these stations where we make brown bag sandwiches, lunches. First year we did 110. Second year, like 250. Last year we did 330 brown bag lunches, something like this. 387, yeah. So we make the brown bag lunches here. This is the first part of the morning. Then they go out with an adult and they give them out. It's showing our kids compassion to give back to the community. Where else are they going to get that? Who's going to do that? An art museum? And I'm sorry for my city that gets offended if they listen to this, but a damn art museum, bro. $1 million. What could you have done with $1 million more? And they're still asking for more money for this stupid thing. I'm guarantee you other cities are doing the same thing. They're using these funding things to make their, oh, this is what we're doing for our kids. What are the issues? Mental health is an issue. Bullying is an issue.
So mental health, bullying, I follow a few people that are against bullying.
Oh yeah.
Tom DeBlas.
Oh yeah, good one.
Like he has.
Yes.
And there's one other place that has a gi that's anti-bullying.
Yes.
But I think being able to figure out how a kid, even adult, like you talked about the PTSD.
Yeah.
Right? If you can walk through the door and not be judged for anything and just train, that hour or 2 hours that they're able to forget.
They have that release, man.
About anything and everything that's going on in their life for that day.
Yeah.
For me, and I talk about that in my mission statement when we started the podcast.
Yeah.
For me, like I'm a wrestling coach. The moment I walk into the wrestling room, everything outside the world just goes away.
Yeah.
Like my focus is on making those kids better at what they're doing, what they're there for, right? And then, like, I feel like the same thing, like in Los Banos, we used to have a youth wrestling program at my high school. I'm the high school coach. So, and we have 2 high schools in Los Banos, and both of them had a youth program. And then a few years ago, money became an issue, right?
Yeah.
And then they were like, hey, you can't have a youth program without paying for renting the facility. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. How does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Like, they're telling me that we have to pay $65 an hour for a janitor, right? Janitors, unless I put the trash outside, they don't come into the wrestling room, right?
Right.
Unless I call them
Yeah.
and say, hey, the trash can's full, can you replace the liner? They don't. We have the wrestling room, we have an office area. Unless I ask them to do something, they don't, because we do it,
Right.
right? But you want to charge me $65 an hour because the janitor's got to be there?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hold on. We run the youth program in the evening.
Yeah.
You know when the janitors at a school work? In the evening.
Yeah.
So why are you charging me overtime hours
Right.
for somebody
Right.
that's already there?
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is the era we're living in
Right.
now. Back in the pioneer days when they set up camp and they built homes and they set up a town, if your roof was busted, we all fixed that damn roof.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think we could learn something by going back and instead of, again, we can make excuses and get frustrated all day long, but at the same time, time is still ticking. You know, time doesn't wait for us to figure this shit out. So we have to think about what can we do with the resources we have,
Right.
period, and just run with it. You know, when it comes to the kids especially, it's surprising to me, Anna's been with me when I've gone to Mohi a few times to talk to the troubled teens in their classes. It's amazing to me how none of the classes you take in all throughout school, all the way through high school, none of them are designed to teach you how your brain works. None. Not a single thing. With depression being as high as it is, and that's just of the ones, again, that report it. There's the ones we don't hear of. Usually those end in suicide, by the way. But how come we were never told that the only reason why you're angry is because you're thinking angry thoughts? How come we're never told the reason why you're sad is because you're thinking sad thoughts? Well, what does this have to do with anything? Well, When you come to a place like this, I don't have time to think of those thoughts. It's that fucking simple. When you come to a place to do the sport we have, you have a problem. You're my problem. And I don't have time to be like, okay, Jose's cross-collar choking me right now. I want to talk to somebody about it.
Right.
I need a counselor to go over why he's making me feel this way. This is bullshit, man. This is bullshit. Here, you have a problem. I'm your problem. You're my problem. We're training with problems, but we're also training in real time to deal with the problem and move on.
Yeah.
This is what's happening to our youth. What's happening to our youth is they don't, you know what the CDC's recommendation is for these kids that have mental issues? More counseling, more drugs. Drugs are mind altering, not mind changing.
Right.
Talking about it with other people who sit behind a desk, who don't face the bullying, who don't face what they're facing. How do they speak on a level of compassion? Now, you put them in a sport like this. Oh, did you get popped in the face? Move on. Oh, you went to pass their guard, you got kneed in the face real quick. You can't just sit there and cry about it. You got to move on.
I have the same mentality.
You feel me? Wrestling
during
my
right? Wrestling class, right?
Hell yeah. Move on
I have
now. You
kids
move on
that
now. Yeah. You move on.
Start to cry. So I have like I think she's probably 6.
Yeah.
She got hurt, and it's like when one bad thing happens, as long as she's winning every situation, there's a smile on her face, and nothing's changing the world for her.
But when it don't
the
go her way,
that she loses a situation, something's hurt.
Yeah.
And the other day she was grabbing her ankle or whatever,
sure.
and I was like, "Hey, you need to get back in."
Yeah.
We're running live drills.
Yeah.
Like, you need to get back in.
Yeah.
Hey, they're waiting on you. I just let her be. I didn't even go before. I would have walked over to her, babied her.
Yeah.
Now, like, I tell them, listen, there's no time to cry.
Yeah, no.
If you want to cry, go off the mat, cry. Don't ever let anybody see you cry.
Cry it out, but
right?
Come on back.
Go do it. Wipe your tears, wash your face, get back on the mat, because the practice is not over.
Could you imagine every problem you face, then you need to go take a drug and go talk to somebody about it? Bro, we're setting our kids up to fail in life. Life is going to throw so many more curveballs at you. And then you're going to fuck around and wait to just talk to somebody, use your words, little Johnny, and talk about it? Bro, you're setting them up to fail, So this is what I'm saying. You know, of all the arts, and I'm biased because this is my passion, of all the arts, I don't know of one that teaches you in real time. You have a problem, you have to deal with it now. And don't stay there. You better move on.
Because that problem's going to get bigger.
You got to move on. But this is
get bigger,
this
you're
is
going to
where
go to sleep.
This is where I feel, and again, I didn't finish high school. I had to take my GED. I took care of my brother in 1989 because he had the AIDS and leukemia. He had the AIDS virus and leukemia. So I wasn't doing good in school anyway, so I dropped out. So I'm not smart. I don't, but I do know this. I do know this, plain and simply. If you don't figure out a way to deal with the issue head on,
right,
and not stay there and move on, that depression is going to take you all the way down, all the way down. It has no choice. It's either constructive or destructive. Those are the only two files, by the way. And no matter what it is that you do, it's either something that will help you build yourself up or build others up, or it's something that will help tear you down or tear others down. There's no in between. There's no in between. Even remaining stagnant and playing video games as a kid 8 hours a day is destructive, for sure. We know this, for sure. So what are we doing with the facts that we know? And what are we doing with what we know that actually works? And that I feel is within our power for the owners of other academies, is make sure your instructors, especially teaching kids class, do they understand how valuable their role is and how big of an impact they have on these kids and how big the real issue is.
Right.
Do they understand that? And then you'll see people taking different attitudes toward like teaching and so on.
Yeah, I think it's hard, like as like talking about my kids. My oldest son, he had a learning disability through school.
Yeah.
Right. So we were constantly having attention towards him.
Yeah.
And then my other two kids, they did fine in school. They were all athletes.
Yeah.
Right. And they were always in a sport. That was my thing. You had to be in a sport because it made you keep your grades,
Yeah.
and it kept them off the streets.
Yeah.
And then my middle son, he graduated. He came to play football here at Modesto JC. Didn't work out. And I didn't realize this, but he was going through some mental health issues, right? And he made a doctor appointment, and I went with him, and it was like,
Deeper than you thought. Yeah.
and like, I come from a different time, right? Like, my dad was a Marine. I'm a Marine.
That's cool.
right.
Yeah.
So the mentality is different.
Sure.
Right. Like, I don't and I talked with Jesse about depression. Like, I don't understand it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's not that I don't have compassion for
Sure.
people,
Yeah.
but I just don't understand it. Like, I don't understand how they can let themselves get to that point.
Yeah. Right.
And maybe, it's, I don't know, but I know it's out there. And I mean, one of my kids was dealing with it. He's fine now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He's married. He has a son. I have a grandson because of,
Yeah.
but it was very eye-opening when I sat in that doctor's office and he talked about it, and I was like, holy shit, this is
Surreal. Yeah, there's a short story I have, and for me, it really outlines life for anybody. You're somewhere in this story, somewhere. The story is about a man who signed up for seminary school and was given the final assignment. The class, seminary is for guys that want to become a minister later on in seminary school. So the last final assignment from the teacher was write a 5-chapter story about your life, from where you started as early as you can remember to where you are today. That was the final assignment. So teacher was collecting all the assignments at the end of the week. Some of them were pretty thick. He noticed one in particular was one sheet of paper from one of his students. So he gravitated to that one first to grade it. He pulled the sheet of paper, and it said, "My life in 5 chapters. Chapter 1, I was walking down a road. There was a hole in the road. I didn't see the hole, and I fell. And I fell in the hole." Okay. Chapter 2, I was walking down the same road, same hole in the road, but this time I chose to ignore it. And sure enough, I fell in the hole, right? Chapter 3, walking down the same road, same hole in the road. This time, I thought I was big enough to step over it. But wouldn't you know, I came up short, and I slipped, and I fell in the hole. Chapter 4, walking down the same road, same hole in the road, but this time, I thought I was smart enough to step around it. But God damn it, I got too close to the edge, and I slipped, and I fell in the hole. 5th and final chapter, I took a new road. I took a new road. Every time I look at adults dealing with depression, I've had my share. Trust me, I've had my share. More than my share sometimes. But or I look at children, I wonder where they are on that spectrum. Are they all huffy puff in their own pride, thinking they're big enough to take on anything in life? They crash. We all crash.
Yeah.
That's expected. Just like riding a bike, you can expect to fall, but don't stay down. And the only reason why we keep putting our kids back up on the bike, knowing they're going to fall down, is because we don't want them to be robbed of the joy of the feeling of riding a bike without the training wheels.
Right.
We know the end result. With these kids, they don't know the end result. They don't see it. But for someone like you, wrestling coach, teacher in Anna's case, Michael also a teacher as well outside of here, and we see the end result. They don't. I get frustrated when I see parents, and they're asking the kids, "Do you feel like going to practice today?" They don't see. They don't That's your job. Your job is to know they have to get through this. Giving them the option to just stay still or hang out by the hole is not the right option.
Right.
Or ignoring it, pretending not to see the hole. That's the even bigger problem. Most people are still stuck at pretending it's not there. They know it's there, but they're pretending it's not there.
Right.
So they never get to the new road. This, and for your audience, your academy might be the new road that saves a life. And if all your efforts were to just save one of those kids, one of those adults, would it be worth it? Damn right. Damn right, it'd be worth it, you know?
Yeah.
They're watching. The kids are watching. And when they see adults of different nationalities, ethnicities, different financial, securities and things like that, when they see us all together doing one thing, supporting each other, that one picture you see over there is with a picnic, we're doing a muddy run together. It can't be just about jiu-jitsu. It cannot. This is like a nice vehicle. But once they're here, they have nobody else to teach them what a community of people can be like as a family, regardless of your background, regardless of the skin color and your ethnic origin. This is the example. This is so much more. Now let me get to the last part. This is why we don't care for having douchebags in our gym. Because when you start depleting the people that come here because they're just hurting everybody that's in the gym, this is what's not talked about. It's not that we don't like people to be aggressive. It's not that we want to shun the warrior spirit. It's just that when you become a threat to depleting the financial means we need to keep this place open to support those kids.
Yes.
You're a threat to that. It's not that we're trying to be soft. It's not that we're trying to be a soft side of jiu-jitsu. It's not that. It's just that in the big picture, 2 or 3 warriors that's smashing through everybody carelessly when they're just hobbyists at best. We're all pretty much hobbyists at best, right, for the most part. Then you're taking away potentially the opportunity we have to be a benefit to the community.
Right.
That's the big threat. It's not that we're, we should be rolling hard all the time. We should be, okay, it's a 5-minute round. We should be training 20-minute rounds, 30 rounds a day. It's like, no, like there's a time for this, and then there's the bigger picture. The bigger picture is how do we keep the lights on?
Yeah.
I'll guarantee you that you have a lot of viewers that aren't talking about how rough it is to just keep the doors open, brother. Yeah, it's nice. Like, how come the janitor won't pick up shit? But it's another thing when it's like, how do we get cleaning supplies? How do we replace all the toilet paper that's just being fucking carelessly thrown everywhere? And you see what I'm saying? This is real. I'm being real. Yeah. You're gonna get a lot of these people to talk about, the gym this and I like these moves. I like being real. How do we help these gym owners out? How do you help the guy that's like, I could pay the tags on my car, or I could buy more supplies for the kids' class. I think I'm gonna buy more supplies for the kids' class. Yeah. Bucket. Yeah. The bigger picture is help these kids. Some of us are out there. Check my tags on my truck when you go out. Anyway, I really enjoyed our time. I really did, Jose. Yeah. I really enjoy what you're doing, and for the audience members that's watching this today, I hope not to offend any of the other academies. I'm too old to not keep it real. I'm too old, man. I'm not impressed by things that are just a waste of time. I see a lot of things going on in gyms, and it's like, you're just a hamster in a wheel. You're not making any ground at all. Right. You're just spinning yourself to death. The bigger picture is what do you want to accomplish? You have this gym. What do you want to accomplish? And if it's not to make better adults through starting with the youth first, then what are you doing? What are you doing this for? For what? Because you want to have some nice shirts with your logo on it and say, this is me, and you want to go to a tournament and be like, yeah, we dominated, we got the team trophy. Like, is that at the end of the day? None of that makes any damn bit of sense. None of it. Who won the Nobel Peace Prize last year? Nobody gives a fuck. That's the Nobel Peace Prize. Yeah. Who won it last year? Name me 3 people that won it. Nobody cares. Everybody's going to forget the things that you said. Everyone's going to forget the things that you did. They're not going to forget the way you made them feel. Right. They're not. So what can you do in what, be that example. Right. These kids need it. They already have, no such thing as a wasted life. You could always live as a bad example. ooh, that's deep. That's going to offend somebody. And if they're offended, you're the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a wasted life. You could always live as a bad example. Why not choose the other route? Yeah.
So, getting back to some of the jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, let's do it. Oh, that's right. We do jiu-jitsu. Both. Have to have both. So I stopped doing gi in 2006. I didn't really believe in that. I was one of those guys that was like, okay, it's more realistic fighting, no gi. Yeah, I thought that. Now that I'm older, who the fuck strips naked and fights? These people that are like, I'm agitated with grips. Like it just bothers me with grips. Fucking deal with it, man. You gonna fight someone naked or what? I get some people take off their shirt when they fight in the I've seen it, but there's still hair. Yeah. You're gonna tell me like they're gonna be like, okay, bro, like no grabbing fabric, okay? We're gonna fight. Like don't grab my shirt, okay? We're just gonna fight, but don't, So I think that mentality was like, there's a couple parts to this, right? The big thing is it's more realistic to fight no gi because it's more realistic. That's not true to me. To me, you're gonna fight in the street. You're gonna have fabric. There's this new thing out where they're fighting in the pants. They're doing jiu-jitsu with the pants and the boots. Did you see that in the dirt? It's in like in Brazil now. They're coming out with tournaments now. So that's how they're holding their tournaments, fully attire and everything. Okay, but the other thing is I understand folks that progress coming from wrestling as well, especially that you progress faster and you're able to resist the higher technical moves when you don't have the grip of the cloth.
Right.
So I understand why that's so appetizing, because then you could be a blue belt giving a black belt a really hard time in no gi, whereas in the gi it can be that much harder because of the grips. So I'm both. I
was completely against the gi.
Yeah,
Wrestler.
Yeah.
But now it's like
Both.
okay.
Yeah, but not only this though, but like think of it this way. Again, in your academy, how many of you guys are hobbyists, right? John Danaher's got like, I don't know, thousands of students. You only hear of like 10 of them, maybe, of that, right? So those other ones are paying the bill for that, because in New York, I'm sure that building ain't cheap. So someone has to pay for life, right? Okay. So you have these people that are primarily hobbyists. Well, do they work out at the gym or just jiu-jitsu? You'll have hobbyists that this is their only exercise. Mm-hmm. They don't, I have a lot of people here. So this is another thing that we do here. I don't need to see them run in circles. I get it. Our warm-ups here are 2-minute drills. So when we do warm-ups here, I don't, for me personally, again, if you're in an academy that does the shrimping back and forth and the running around in circles, I understand why. I'm not shunning it. Here, 2-minute drills, like what you started with Michael earlier. I have your back for 2 minutes, you have my back for 2 minutes, and we do our escapes. That's our warm-ups here. I don't need to see you do cartwheels and stuff. For the kids, I do. For the kids, they do their bear crawls and all the other stuff. Adults, if you're paying money here, I need to see you move and doing movements that actually apply. So it's just a little bit different. But why the gi? Because they need to sweat. We know this. So if you need to right, you need to sweat. Like if you like that nice air conditioned environment, then that's great too. But you do know to get those things out of your system, you need to sweat, right? Those toxins and everything. That's it. You need to sweat. So put on the gi and sweat it out. Sweat it out. So I go back to your original question. Both are important. Gi and no. We do both. So we have gi days, no gi days. We also have wrestling days twice a week. Yeah. Kids class, they have one day dedicated just wrestling Wednesdays.
Really?
Just wrestling all day Wednesday. Wrestling Wednesdays. Yeah. Have to. Fight starts standing. Yeah. Schoolyard fight starts standing. End up on ground, but start standing. Yeah.
I like that.
Oh yeah. Wrestling, big part of it. Can't deny it. You can't deny it. Yeah.
I wish that, like, there's what do you call it? That there's this belief, like, wrestling's hard.
Damn right it's hard.
It is hard.
Water polo is hard.
But you can make it fun and hard.
Damn right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's crazy that, like, we'll do a wrestling practice and everybody will be like tired, dragging ass, right?
Yeah.
But you play freeze tag for the last 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and everybody is running full speed.
Yeah.
They're not tired
No.
anymore.
No.
They don't realize their conditioning.
They didn't see it. They didn't see in between the stripes. Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't see the progress. Embrace the suck. I saw it on a sticker. You ever see that? Embrace the suck. But you have to know, how do you embrace it? Not just tell somebody to embrace it. You have to know why. We don't have our whys right, you know? If you understood the why behind what you do, then it makes the suck that much easier, right? My why is God and my family. And what I mean by family is my friends and my students. All our family. That's my why. That's my why, you know? People used to say, like, oh, think in terms of what would they write on your tombstone, you know, when you die. For me, it's not. It's not that. For me, it's understanding that your legacy, whatever legacy you could build, will go as far as possibly your grandkids. What do you know about your great grandpa? There you go. That's as far. It doesn't even matter how all his achievements and accolades. It doesn't even matter what he, like. There's hardly anybody who could give has a clear grasp of what their great grandma, great grandpa was like. Your legacy, at best, is maybe 2 generations, at best. It's a very small window, by the way. And then the older we get, right? You and I are very close in age. The older we get, you realize that there's no fun in being served anymore. The true joy is serving others and seeing others develop the best version of themselves, knowing that you had a small part in that. That's your true satisfaction. It's priceless. You can't buy that. And the beauty of our sport here, you can't fake this shit.
No.
I could do this shit all day long, even though nobody does this shit when they enter a fight. I could do all that shit all day long, right? I could fake that pretty damn well, even if I never did it. Right? You can't fake this, and I need you. I can't stand in front of a TV and practice jiu-jitsu. I need you. So this is a group effort. No matter how there's no I in this. This is a we. This is a we thing. This is a we thing. Another reason why I don't like it when we start damaging and hurting our teammates. You know, I feel destroyed inside when, you know, anybody that I've accidentally hurt while rolling. Because now I lose out on a partner for like 3 months, 6 months, right. You know, and I ruined. It's not necessary, not necessary. But this is a we effort to maybe not so much a legacy as much as it is to get that feeling like, wow, this person didn't believe in this. How many nerds have you come across that came into the gym and are like badasses now? You know, bro, it's amazing. I look at some of these guys and I'm like, wow, when you first came here, I was like, no, this guy is not gonna last. And now they're right. Mm-hmm. And then they tough it out, and then they feel wholesome. You could see how they've developed a sense of like pride in something real.
Right. And
nobody can take that away from them. Our kids need to feel this. Sorry to keep bringing it back to the kids, but the kids, they don't get this from a video game. No. They don't get this from. These are real achievements. These are real emotions, and they have to feel. You have to learn how to lose. Man, you're gonna learn how to lose real quick in this sport when you first start. You're gonna learn. If you can't cope with losing, life will dish that out to you. Yeah. You're gonna lose big. Relationships, jobs. You're gonna lose big. You're gonna lose big. And if you just can't cope with it and deal with it, your only resort is then poor mental health and possibly suicide. Right. You know? Yeah. But we can change that. We can at least have a positive influence on moving that needle the right direction. Yeah.
We could make a dent.
For sure. I think we already are. Yeah. Pretty good, yeah.
So what's something outside of jiu-jitsu that you enjoy doing?
Oh, my wife, we play ice hockey. We're on an ice hockey team together. Really? She just started this year. This was a childhood dream of mine. I played ice hockey when I was 9 years old, but again, money was really, really tough, and it was in Foster City at the time. And this year, I just started back up again, and we're playing adult ice hockey. She knows how to skate a little bit on the ice, and she's a trooper. So she joined a co-ed ice hockey. So Wednesday nights is our date night, and it's not like any other. We're on the ice ramming into people. In Stockton, we play. What's the name of that?
Stockton Arena?
Oak Park. No, I wish. Oak Park. Ice rink, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's been there since 1969 or something like that. But we're part of a team. I did a 3-day tournament in Vegas, and man, that was a beautiful thing. We also have 3 kids at home still. One's in high school, one's middle school, one's in elementary school. Anna's a school teacher, and so we're actively involved with the kids, and that occupies most of our days. But when it comes to free time, whatever that looks like, which is very rare, we love. Yeah, we try to do like outdoor. We like go boogie boarding. We'll ride our kayaks. We'll go fishing. Really making sure we're keeping that family core unit something of value to be cherished and by our kids. So we're doing our best that we can there. But lately it's been ice hockey on Wednesdays, and
Definitely something different.
oh, bro, there's no, in Jiu-Jitsu, if you haven't already, you'll get to the point where you have these hubs to hide out in during a round, where you kind of like lock down and you kind of can stay there and catch your breath. None of this happens in hockey. It's constant going, constant. You're constantly moving, and you can't slack because everybody sees you. You got to keep moving. Yeah, you got to keep moving. Yeah.
I couldn't skate if it.
Even more reason why I need to get you out there. You might be a good goalie then. The other thing too is it's humbling for me because you're out of your regular element.
Yeah.
Here I have places where I feel safe under anybody, right? But out there I'm vulnerable, and you learn to embrace that vulnerability. You learn it becomes exciting instead of like, I'm not that good at it. It's like that's what we see with the kids today. Like as soon as the minute, like you were talking about your one girl, the minute you can't cope with the idea that you're not as proficient at something as you see other people, and you shut down, well, what's left for you at that? Everything's gonna be new to you. So ice hockey humbles me. It really does. I feel the excitement of, again, embracing the suck. I'm not great at all, but it's enjoyable. Yeah. And then there's a lot of meditation, Bible time. I don't shy away from being what people call a Christian, but I'm really into Scripture. I love reading my Bible. We do it together. We go to church on Sundays at Shelter Cove, which is a lot of my students go there as well, and it works for me. We love everybody from all different. We have a lot of people from different religions. I like learning about their stuff too, and so. But the Bible just has a way of certain verses hitting when they need to hit in my life, whatever I'm dealing with. Again, it's a matter of understanding the mind. If you allow yourself to just open yourself up to thoughts, the bad ones will creep in.
Right.
People don't understand. Did you know you can't make a thought? It's an absolute impossibility to make a thought. All you can do is open yourself up to thoughts. So my mom passed away many years ago, right? I can't make a thought about her. I could just open up the idea of thinking about her, and these things will start dropping in. Mm-hmm. And so there's no such thing. And this is part of people that go into depression. All of their stinking thinking they think are themselves coming up with their own thoughts. That's not even possible. You can't make a thought. You can just open yourself up to them. And then you claim those bad thoughts as your own. And that's what sends you into this depressed mode for those that have like PTSD. You start thinking like, I could have been a better husband. I could have been a better father. I could have been and nobody knows you're fighting these battles in your head but you.
Right.
And then you go home and you're all frustrated, and then maybe your wife says something that makes you feel even worse again, that you're a bad this, and then all hell breaks loose. It's because all day long you've been battling these thoughts already. And so you become short-tempered, not because you're a short-tempered person, but because you've been worn thin already all day thinking these thoughts. This is why, the number one thing I do when I go speak at high schools is I teach them how their brain works. If you can get rid of the stinking thinking and put something else in its place, like this, then you don't have time to be, just marinating in that shit.
This is like a good rabbit.
Bro, it's right. It's right in your face. It's right in your face.
Like for me, I come or I go to practice like what we did today.
Yeah.
Like you've seen the eye-opening.
Yeah.
Right?
Bro, can I, before you go further, watching your face light up like that, man, it's like a high for me. You know, so when we're going over just basic movements like that, and then you see someone light up, I would much rather see that on you than me feel that for me. It does so much more for me.
Yeah.
Like you think maybe it's a blessing to you, it's not. It's a big blessing for me. So I'm the one thanking you for those moments, you know. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, like, shoot, I lost
No, you were talking about like even just today going over the basic movements, and how that's like eye opening for you, you know.
yeah, like, it's like little things that end up
The little details.
making it so much simpler.
Yeah.
Like it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Seeing your hand here, like
Right.
today that getting to roll, it makes, so now I know where I was going with
Yeah. Can't think of anything else.
I roll, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like I process what's going on, and then it just makes me want to see more,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So instead of me looking at garbage,
Amen. Yes.
right?
That's
I
it.
go and look at jiu-jitsu.
Right. And there's no space for other shit.
Yeah, no.
Right. It occupies
I'm
with the right stuff. Right.
I'm looking at this. I'm like, oh, how could, like, I was telling Jesse on the way over here, I hit a clock choke the other night. And was it good? No, probably not.
Sure.
It was the first time.
Yeah.
I had tried on previous occasions to do it. And it's just by me watching a video
Yeah.
and seeing the placement, seeing what he's doing, and then me trying to mimic that in the room
Yeah.
in a live situation.
Yeah.
Right? So I hit it the other night and I was like, oh, I got it. Was it great?
Yeah.
No. Was there details that I probably missed?
Yeah.
Probably.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah.
But the concept, like, okay, I did this choke, like when we talked about using the lapels to like pulling them out.
Yeah.
What are you doing with them?
Yeah.
Well, really, I don't know what I'm doing with them. I know
Right.
I use them.
Right, right.
But I don't know what the terminology
Yeah.
could be.
Yeah.
But freehand.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that.
No.
Make yourself.
It's ahead of the game, you know. Here, let me hand this to you. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew ahead of time what I was going to do.
Right.
The same thing with that lapel. What we didn't go over was maybe instead of putting that lapel over so fast, I show it to you so you reach for it and then I come inside. What does that mean? It means like when you start thinking of techniques, how can I accomplish the same end result, but in a way that doesn't disrupt what you want to do?
Right.
Remember I told you earlier, your best jiu-jitsu game is going to be where he's getting what he wants. You also are getting what you want, but ultimately it benefits you.
Right.
That's
He's
the clear.
getting what
Yeah.
What he wants because you're allowing
Right.
it for your benefit.
When I roll now with my students, these guys will tell you, depending on what the round is, let's say it's a 4-minute round, the first 3 minutes are yours. So I lay down and I earn my way on top. I don't just go out the gate, balls to the wall, and just like, you know, like I want to grow my defense as well while you're growing your attacks, right? Okay. But even then, so when now I'm on top, or if I'm practicing a finish, if I'm working so hard for it, then I go home and I'm obsessing. Why was I working so hard? Where was my setup? What did I telegraph it? What could I do to get his hands up higher so that I'm not trying to push? You know, if I go north-south and I'm trying to push the wrist down to the waist, how do I get him to move his hands down to his waist? So just a quick example. If you're north-south, you're on top, and I need to get his hands down to his waist, how can you get him to want to put his hands down to the waist? Go back to side control and knee on belly. They go knee on belly, they push your knee. Now the hands are there. Go back to north-south, keep the hands there, right? So maybe it's just a different path, a new road, you know, maybe. And this is where the development comes over time, you know, is just strategizing how to accomplish what you want without trying so hard. I'll tell you, this is kind of a dirty secret of mine. I really don't care about finishes anymore as much as I love sweeping somebody. Have you ever pulled off a really clean sweep on somebody? where they're so off balance that their feet like slap the ground when you like scissors. Maybe you get a really nice scissor sweep. When you can perfectly time someone off balance, I guess it would be equivalent to a judo throw or a judo, somebody. I love a nice clean sweep where I end up back on top and I'm in control of the situation. Whereas like if it was like a fighting situation, I'm on top dropping bombs. I know I could if I wanted to, So I'm not as impressed anymore by like the force more. I really am trying to become less. I'm really filtering out a lot of the fluff and just focus on just the technique. Instead of like trying to crush through everything,
I find myself.
You have to ask yourself, how efficient are you in those moves? Are you huffing and puffing at the end of the like are you holding your breath when you're trying to do the attacks? This is a killer. Breathing, just a lot of times if you see me at tournaments and I'm coaching my folks, I'm reminding them to breathe.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre thing, isn't it? But some of these guys, they're holding the position, I can see them holding their breath.
It's funny that you say that because like maybe 4 weeks ago,
Yeah.
we do open mats now on Friday nights.
Good.
Just our gym.
Yeah.
Right? And that was one of the biggest things that I told both the 2 or 3 guys that were there
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah.
Like, you guys need to learn how to breathe.
Breathe.
Like,
Yeah.
learn how to control your breathing.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, one of the guys does running, like, runs marathons. Another guy, he's been training. He comes to, like, every class that we have,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, he's not in the greatest shape, but he's in... If you look at him and you look at me, you would think he's in better shape than me. Just because of, like, I have the big beer belly, right?
Yeah.
But at the end, they're huffing and puffing, and I'm able to control my breathing enough that in that 1 minute, I'm reset.
Yeah. And your mind is
and
clear.
They're like,
Yeah. Yeah, breathing like that, your mind is not clear.
and I'm talking to them during like,
Yeah.
hey,
what are you doing?
control your breathing. Why are you breathing so hard?
Yeah.
Why are you huffing and puffing?
Yeah.
I'm bigger than you.
Yeah.
Why is it?
What's the worst case scenario? You tap. So why do you have to breathe so hard now? Worst case scenario, you tap, we start again. But yeah, just again, it's hard to teach someone. Your learning curve, I think, really makes a positive makes a positive change when you're able to control your breathing and you're not running so much from the dog anymore. If your whole focus is just constantly running from the dog, and I'm trying to tell you, hey, put your right hand down, you're still running from the dog. So you're not even conscious. You're just on a fight or flight mode.
Right.
Yeah. But the moment that you can control your breathing, and then you can really rationalize what's the end result here. Okay, end result here. I get caught, I tap, and then I go back and I do my homework. How did I get there? It's fine, but you don't have to. You don't have to hold your breath and be in a panic situation, scenario the whole time. You're just tanking yourself. And then let's just say you just power out of it. Let's say you hold your breath and you do your one big push like a bench press and you get out. You got shit left now. You got to turtle or something. But now you have nothing for the onslaught coming after that because you put it all in that one bump. So maybe you just need to chill out, take an inventory. My arm's down, my arm's low, neck is protected. Chill, just breathe for a while. You can't breathe, you can't open and contract your diaphragm, well then don't lay flat on your back. Get to your side, let your diaphragm breathe again. Yeah, makes sense? Yeah. So, it's little things like this. This is why in the beginning for our white belts, defense is this is why our 2-minute drills are all defense. Get your movements down on the defense side first. Anyway, you can't pass guard, none of your offense. It's all shit anyway, you'll never get there. You might know how to do it, but you'll never get there to apply it, and then you think you're not learning anything. Yeah, so defense first, be a hard one to rape. Right, on the mat, be a hard one to rape. And then when you can control your breathing, now you can start thinking of countering. Now you can start thinking of sweeps. Now you can start thinking of attacks. But if you're just...
It's crazy because at the beginning, I didn't know how to control the breathing.
Oh, yeah.
Even as a wrestler.
Right.
Like, the wrestling is go,
Yeah.
go, pressure,
Sure.
pressure.
Sure. Head in the hole, always. Forward.
Rest.
Yeah.
Right? Just constant.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like, why do I need to go so fast?
Why? Why stay? Why do you have to stay in
have
front?
the Here, let me grab this. Where are you going now?
Yeah. And why do you have to stay in front? and go muscle to muscle with somebody. Why can't you circle out? Why do you have to keep pushing on that? Let's circle out. Just change the angle, and you don't have to push so hard. And anyway, staying in front anyway lets them set up their takedowns. So circle out. Step in, do whatever you need to do to, shuck, collar tie, any of that stuff, but don't stay there in front. You just give them your legs, circle out. So I get it. But these are all things that are easy to say. To the white belt, it's like, bro, I'm just trying to survive. I'm tapping into everything. I'm tapping into like side control pressure. How do I get this guy's, deltoid off my face that's smashing the side of my face in side control, that kind of stuff. But it's time. This art is very special in that you really appreciate, other people appreciate your belt colors in this, because they know what you've had to invest, the time and the sacrifice you've had to make. Most especially, again, the kids. I know I've always circled back to the kids, but you have some of these kids that are like gray, black, and they're like, that adult's just a white belt. It's like, no, you don't understand. That's not the same, Right. It's not, the adult will still kill you, But what they do appreciate is they know that they understand the sacrifice on their level, how much more adults doing it, and they look up to you. Even if you're just, 1-2 stripe white belt, they know to appreciate and have respect for you, for what you're able to do. Yeah.
Sometimes that's a little rarer than you think nowadays.
Yeah.
With respect.
It is. I'm not as traditional as some of these other places. Like some places, you show up late, you got to sit off on the side until the black belt calls you out to the mat. I don't do any of this. I'm more like, I understand parents have a hard enough time as it is, let alone penalize their kid for showing up late when maybe they got stuck in traffic or something. So there's a lot of traditions I don't follow. I follow the circle of friends like Mike does at One World. So at the end of our adult training, we do circle of friends, and then I open it up to people saying, okay, where'd you guys get stuck? At the end of all our classes I teach, where'd you guys get stuck? Where'd you guys, because sometimes your question is his question or her question, and they might be afraid to ask, so we do circle of friends, and then when we do the bow out thing, we just do a circle. You should, and you should. There should be no unanswered questions.
I have no problem answering.
Be as dumb as you think. Be as dumb. You're like, damn, again. Other than Jose, is there anyone? Jose, write it down and send me an email.
My nephew has, he has just as many questions as I do. And he'll be like, whoa.
Yeah,
And
you should.
Craig will look.
Yeah.
Related to
Yeah. You know what's more important than asking for questions? Asking for solutions. Try this next time you teach a class, like you do kids class or whatever. When I teach my kids class, I'll teach them a move and then I'll say, but we have a problem. If I open their guard and I go knee up and they go de la Hiva, what do I do with the de la Hiva now? And then you'll be surprised how many kids like, okay, well, you got to do this or you could do this. And sometimes they might hit it. Oh, what a sense of accomplishment, right? You've seen it in the kids class where like they'll be like, and sometimes it's a student you think not ever paying attention. Like the one that's in the background, they're like, grab the collar, turn it into a scissor sweep. I'm like, damn right. What did you eat today? I had a sandwich. Keep eating that sandwich. Whatever you ate today, your brain's working. Your brain likes it. This is good. And they feel this massive sense of accomplishment, But if you always give the answers, it doesn't give them time for their brain to process on their own. For instance, like here, when I teach a move, a lot of times you'll see me squatting down in the middle, and I let them break out into doing their drills. I don't stand, I don't hover, because they have to work through it a little bit. If I don't do this, don't put your, if I do that, then they need that during the roll. They're not gonna have me for that. They're not gonna have me for that in a fight, or they're not gonna have me in the roll. Their brain has to process in their own way to come to that solution. Now, if they're constantly I just don't get it, then I'll walk over and then but some of us, I think we get we're too touchy-feely too soon, and you're not giving them a chance to explore and make mistakes in the process of drilling the move, Plus, like you learned today, cross-collar chokes, someone might have come from another academy learning a certain way, and then you'll meet some old dummy like me that says, hey, cross-collar chokes should come from your legs? Right? You meet a dummy, exactly. Yeah, yeah. You know north-south choke? It's really a crush, not a squeeze. And you're like, what?
It works and you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like tight.
Yeah. I remember helping my dad move a refrigerator one year. And he was like, push it into place, Junior. I remember. And, I was just trying to push the refrigerator. He says, turn around, son, back into it. Yeah, so I turn around, put my back to it. Oh, I got the thing to move, you know?
Yeah.
I thought I was king shit. I was like, wow, I actually moved this fridge with the rusty wheels. Yeah. Yeah. But sometimes it takes just that little bit of technical influence to just change. Then you're like, how many other things can I back into
Yeah.
and move? You
What's
know?
greater, like what I think is great about like this sport is there's not really a wrong and right.
Yeah.
Some people are taught a traditional way,
Yeah.
and then somewhere down the road, they found a variation that has worked better for them.
Yeah.
And the great part of it is that once they've found that,
Yeah.
that they're willing to pass it on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
today,
Oh, you know, remember the ramp thing?
yes.
You know where I got that from? Crispin. I don't know if you've heard of Crispin before. He's he started Baja Brothers. He was under Half for many years. And his name is Alexander Crispin. He's now in Pleasanton. Got a beautiful school out there. One day I was opening guard, because that's how I originally learned how to open guard, was the ramp. Knee forward, knee kicked out to the side, push the leg down the ramp. So that's all I knew back then. So I was trying to do it, and the same problem. I kept pushing the leg into my thigh all the time. It just never worked for me. Crispin goes, how are you going to do this? You know, in his Brazilian, how are you going to do this? I was like, what do you mean? I'm trying to push the leg down. He goes, you a ghost? He asked me, you a ghost? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, you're going to push it through your leg? Are you a ghost? And I said, I don't follow you. He goes, Tony, you're not a ghost, right? And I said, no, I'm not a ghost. He goes, then get rid of the leg. Get rid of the ramp. Unless you're a ghost. If you're a ghost, push it through your leg. But you keep pushing it on your leg. I was with some other guy that really lanky legs. And sure enough, man, it's something as simple as that. I understand the logic behind opening the guard, making a ramp, sliding it down your legs. But it never worked for me, and I've never met anyone that it worked for them either.
Right.
Never. Never have.
Well,
Knee forward, knee back. Get rid of that block.
in that situation, right? Like, if you're almost setting yourself up to get swept,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Last night I was in that situation. I was rolling with a brown belt, and he had knee shield, and he had that leg.
Mm.
And I think this is why I did what I did.
Mm.
Because I took
Oh, you
away-
retracted half of it. Yeah.
I took
You had half a
away
ramp.
scissor
Yeah.
sweep
Yeah.
by lifting the leg.
Otherwise, they underhook your ankle, and then they drop you back. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, once I took that step up,
Yeah.
he didn't have it anymore.
Anymore, yeah.
And he's like, it took for me to almost get
Yeah,
swept. 'Cause
yeah.
He hit it,
Yeah.
and he knocked me over, but I recovered.
Yeah.
And I ended up back on top.
Yeah.
And he set up his position again to do it again.
Yeah.
And I brought that knee up,
Yeah.
off the mat, underneath his leg, and then it was completely gone.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't have an answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
Then you.
I just kept putting the leg up. Today, then I'm like, oh, the leg. I don't know.
One year I was, this was with Carlos. I don't know if I was just a stupid white belt. And one year we were going over guard passing, and Carlos said, just stand all the way up. What's the problem standing all the way up in somebody's guard? There's an obvious sweep there. Double ankles, right? Double ankles, knee forward, and then you kick forward and the guy falls back. And so I told him, I was like, Carlos, I'm just going to get swept. He goes, get swept. So I'm in the guy's closed guard. I stand up, double ankle, drops me on my butt. And he's looking at me. He goes, so now what? And I said, yeah, I don't know. I'm on my butt now. And so if you just envision it, if you stay in the person's guard and you just stand up and offer your ankles, and they grab both your ankles and sweep you backward, just pinch your knees together. Then what happens? They can't get up anymore. Now the guard's open, now you get up. Do you see it in your head? Yeah. Isn't this crazy? This is how beautiful this language is. We're not even on the mat, but you can visualize it, right? Standing up with them in closed guard, giving them the sweep, but pinching your knees so they can't get up, but their guard is open now. Now you grab their legs and you come up, and the guard's open, and then you pass. So to your point, sometimes the route that someone maybe tries to discourage you to take might be the easiest route. It might not look that way initially, but the end result is in your favor. You know, there's a lot of those moves. Yeah. Yeah.
You talked about your kids competing.
Yeah.
You have this wall over there.
Yeah. See all those? Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, so I did a little bit of competing early on, but the health kicked in. And that, you know, I have some pictures on that side, and you'll see the medals on those pictures. It's fun. I think I did it enough to be able to speak on a level of compassion of what it feels like to cut weight, what it feels like to be in the bullpen, what it feels like to have that anxiety and those knots in your stomach. Would I do it again? You know, I'm thinking about it, but I'm also 50 years old, and what is there, like maybe two more? There's two more. Was there masters, what, 6 and 7? I don't know where I'd be now, but I think there's two more. I think after 7 you're dead. So I don't. I think it goes Master 6, Master 7, you're on your way out, and then Master 8, you're dead. I think there's no 8. So I've thought about it, but I enjoy more preparing my students for competing. But I am considering. Craig too. It's tough as you get older. You know, it really is.
Craig's talking about doing Master Worlds next year.
So Craig, I think, is in his early 40s. No? Oh, he's the same as you then. Yeah, you're about the same. Oh, you'll be 52 or somewhere. You'll be 50 next week. Yeah. It's just it's exceptionally. It doesn't seem like 4 years should be that big a deal. It's a big deal. So if you're the old man in your bracket at our older age, it's night and day. It's night and day. You know, you're in your 20s and there's a 4-year difference. Maybe not so bad, but when you're our age, it can be drastic.
Well, you know what's crazy is when we did the open or the in-house tournament over at
One World. Yeah. You see, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Mike's in that, right?
Yeah.
That other guy.
Oh, yeah.
Where's that other guy from?
Where? I think he was also 6 years as a purple, 6-year purple belt.
So Craig.
I don't even want to talk about sandbagging right now, but that's a subject that we should talk about someday.
Yeah, like white belt, right? Craig's like, hey, Mike has a blue belt, purple belt tournament coming up.
You did
Are
good.
you interested? And I was like, well, I'm interested, but who am I going to have to go against?
Yeah.
They'll keep the age groups pretty close.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, well, if it's age grouped, and I'm down.
Yeah.
And then we get there, I roll with Mike first, lose that one, then roll with that purple belt, lose that one, and I'm like...
You did good. I remember.
Like,
You did good. Your wrestling mood definitely kicked in.
I talked to Mike, and then after, I'm like, how old are you? He's like, I'm 29. The other guy was like 26.
You're like, bro, I have a son your age.
I'm fucking 48.
Hats off to you. That's like, going back to your question, like, I think if you're going to compete, you like, especially this late in age, there's a lot you have to prepare. There's a lot, you know. And it's not that I shy away from the discipline, but I also know that I'm probably not a nice person cutting weight. I'm not, it wears on you. It wore on me when I was in my 20s. How much more now? You know, my patience is shit now. Now I'm 50, I have zero, you know, I love the kids, but this is why I stay home a lot, and Anna keeps me occupied with my little projects, because I get easily, you know, frustrated. How much more if I'm cutting weight, and then, you know, I still have to be the nice guy here, and I think to you really have to dedicate. Hats off to those guys. Really, that's the amount of dedication and sacrifice on their part. We saw what's his name, Megaton at Worlds, and I was like, this fucking guy is chiseled at How old is he? Like 112? How old is Megaton now? He's old, right? This guy is, he's up there. Yeah, this guy is chiseled, and you know, I think, he competed at adults. You know,
Like that was his
hats off to him.
He's the oldest competitor
Yeah.
ever to compete at world.
Yeah.
The first coral belt.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Probably the only one that will ever do that. Most of those guys are half dead.
He just did it, I think, just to like make a statement.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I've given it a lot of thought, but I also know that this place would have to be like running on its own, and I would need my away time. I would need, you know, to do it right.
What's your most memorable moment with jiu-jitsu?
Man, there's a lot of them, and it's hard to just pick one because then it makes there's a lot of them. There's one, well, the one that stands out obviously is promoting my son, the one that I couldn't tie the white stripe on. Giving him, tying that black belt, you know, fixed a lot of the things that I beat myself up over. I would have to say, and that's probably why God kind of put it in my heart to take a picture with Brad. 2012, just had my spinal cord surgery, and I woke up, I got all these wires hanging, draining the blood from my spinal cord and everything. I'm sitting in bed, I've got this neck brace on, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, I'm done. I'll never be able, you know, I'll never be able to go back to jiu-jitsu again, you know, because it was a very messy operation. And I'm sitting there in the room looking at the ceiling, and I'm quarantined because this type of surgery, you can't be exposed to any kind of disease, you know. Right. It could end your life fairly easily, yeah. But Brad worked for the hospital at Memorial at the time, and so they let him through because he was part of staff, you know. So Brad and I have trained together for many, many years, and Brad comes in there. I'm sitting there, and I'm just kind of like looking at the ceiling, like I'll never be able to teach kids class. The kids mean everything to me, you know. If you haven't figured that out, and I already missed the kids so much, and I was thinking to myself, man. Well, the surgeon had come in and told me that they had to do a lot more than the original disc. It was supposed to be C3 and 4, but they had to get C3, 4, 5, and 6 out. Then put in cadaver bones after they got to the tumor in the spinal cord. So he said that, you know, swallowing would be an issue. He said that, you know, depending on the healing process, might not have any mobility in the neck because of the metal plate and the screws, you know. So when he left, I'm sitting there just kind of like, man, God, you could have taken me out at brain surgery, because I was paralyzed coming out of brain surgery. I had no function of my legs. It took me 6 months to walk. 4 months, my speech was all messed up, yeah? So I was in a walker so it really took me out. And I'm like, man, I'm done. So Brad comes in, and he goes, hey, buddy. This is Brad, the guy we took a picture with earlier, yeah? And I was like, what's up, man? He goes, well, you survived. And I was like, yeah. He's black belt at the time. And he was a gorilla black belt. And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, how long till you come back? And I said, Brad, I'm done, man. I'm done. And he looked at me, shook his head, and he goes, you're not done. You're not done. These kids need you. Nobody can do that for the kids. I don't like those kids. I don't like those kids, and you know the other instructors don't like them kids. He goes, we need you to come back. And I said, Brad, no, I'm done. And he goes, I got something for you. So he pulls out this book. It's by Dave Camarillo. It's called Submit Everyone. And he sits bedside with me, hands me the book. See that? I'm a fucking mess there, dude.
I have that book.
Get out of here! He hands me this book, and he says, you might not be able to train with me now, but you better start reading this book, and you better be ready with some shit when you get out, because I'm gonna fuck you up. He goes, don't play this I'm crippled bullshit with me, because when you and I start training again, I'm gonna fuck you up, so you better be ready, you know. And so I'm crying. That's me crying, and the nurse took the picture. And there's this guy, Kimura. You know what I'm talking about? The famous Kimura, his last name is Kimura, broke Helio Gracie's arm like 3 times with the move and everything like that. Here's what the people don't know about Kimura. Badass judo. Everybody knows that. Judo was his thing. He was destroying everybody. He lost 4 judo matches and quit. He was so distraught, losing 4 in a row matches, he was done. And you could look it up on Wikipedia. Had it not have been for his friends to talk to him, to shake the shit out of him, to say, hey, look, you're bigger than this, come back. He wouldn't have came back. We wouldn't have a lot of the moves we have today. You wouldn't have the move we showed you today had he not have persevered through that. So your question was, what's the most memorable moments? Had Brad, messes me up still, had he not have done what he did, we might not be here. Isn't that crazy? I tell this to people all the time. If you feel moved by the universe or God or whatever to say something positive and speak something positive in a person's life, do that shit. Because you don't know the generations of kids and people after, or the people that they could have a positive influence on if you don't let that word come out. That was what Brad did. It's crazy that this wasn't even planned.
Yeah.
He's not even part of our academy. I just give him free reign to come over here because he's a brother to me.
Right.
So he just happened to be here the day you came.
Yeah.
Working out. Yeah.
It's crazy that you say that though, because like they say, you never know what someone's going through. Walking down the street, just a simple hi to someone.
Amen.
Can
Yeah.
make their day.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
I'm like I say hi to a lot of people, but maybe not as often as I should.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
If something inside you is saying, hey, go back and see how that person's doing. Anna sees this with me all the time. Cashiers are probably the ones that get abused the most. So I always try to make small conversations with cashiers just to, because I know that's a tedious fucking job. You know, even at a McDonald's drive-through, nobody gives 2 shits about them usually, you know, to say, hey, look, or to crack a joke to make them laugh a little bit. And so I'm now, through all that I've been through, I know enough that as soon as God put something in me or whatever that is for other people, we were at a liquor store gas station. I was filling up gas and 3 kids were acting up over there. And I went over there and talked to one of the kids, and I felt moved to do so, and got to know him, got to know his name, and invited him out here. I'm hoping to see him, you know. But what if that's all he had at that? Like, what if he was just looking for a sign? How many times have you been looking for a sign to just to come up with one reason to keep pushing? I just need one good sign to keep pushing, you know? We have another student that we gave an academic scholarship to. Shit grades for the longest time. Got his grades up to a 3.8, right? His aunt finally allowed him. He has no family. Long story, back in Mexico. Nobody. He's got nobody. This aunt's not even an aunt. This aunt is a relative of a cousin in Mexico who was a neighbor to 2 druggy parents who overdosed and died and left these 2 children to this neighbor. That's all. This kid has nothing. And, oh, bro, this is nothing. Last week, comes in, he got his grades up. We gave him permission to come back here and train, because that's the deal. You got to give us the grades. You got to do your part. And Anna will tell you, like, all his fingers were taped bad. He hadn't been training. So I'm like, how do you fuck up your fingers? You know, I ain't been training. And the story was that his uncle said, all right, yeah, your aunt's going to allow you to go back and train, but I'm not going to give you a ride there unless you clean this entire backyard, chop wood or something.
You have like a stack of like firewood, like this high
Yeah.
off the ground.
He goes, you could,
would,
if
like,
you chop
off
this,
all that wood, I'll consider letting you go back.
yeah, I'll consider giving you a ride here. This kid,
Until his hands bled.
yeah, literally all his fingers had blood coming through the tape just because he got his grades, and then they made it even harder for him by making him do some god-awful shit.
And he would like,
But where would he be? Where would he be, or where would any of these kids be if Brad at that moment didn't sit bedside with me, hand me the book to say, no, I'm not letting you quit. I'm not letting you quit. First of all, nobody likes these kids like you like these kids. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're not leaving this shit to us. You know, and since then, you know, Anna has seen it. I've had a lot of those kids drive here now, right, Patrick? And yes, they come here and we tell the stories of how I went back as soon as I came out of the hospital. I'll show you, just to tell them I was okay. See that picture? I'm still in my neck brace.
Oh, yeah.
Just to let them know I'm okay and I'm coming back. A lot of them didn't know if I was gonna come back. Oh yeah, I said I'm coming back, but none of them really knew that it was Brad. That Brad.
Yeah.
That.
Made that.
Yeah. Same thing with Kimura. You wouldn't know a Kimura had it not have been for his friends.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So, last question.
Sure.
What advice do you have for the new person, the older person, the guy that's coming through the door for the first time?
Yeah. Gosh, if I could echo Bruce Lee's "Empty Your Cup." God, that didn't make any sense to me. You know, when Bruce Lee talked about have an empty cup, empty your cup. Every day you come, be willing to absorb. You know, be willing to absorb. Embrace the suck we talked about earlier. Being a good student, not hurting other partners, that's okay. That's all should be common sense kind of stuff. But if I could just speak directly into the heart of the person that's like, oh shit, because that's all they hear, by the way. A new person on the mat, all they're hearing in their head is, oh shit. That's all right?
As they're trying to get
Yeah.
out of the way,
Yeah.
spazzing.
Turn that voice off. The worst thing that can happen is you just tap. Don't be these idiots that tap too late and now you're hurt. You're hurt because you didn't tap. Typically it's because they didn't tap soon enough, right? And the other one is the person applying the attack maybe went a little overboard too. So empty your cup, come here with them. Don't come with any expectations. Never compare yourself to someone else.
Right.
Like I told you earlier, if you're going to compare yourself, think about what you would do to you if you had to fight yourself the first day you walked in. Give yourself that. Usually academies have like a free grace period or whatever, a beginner like 2-week trial or something like that. Even just that, you'll know enough that you could destroy yourself the first day you walked in. For sure, like hands down you are. So empty cup, zero pride, zero ego. Check all that stuff at the door. That stuff's gonna leave that shit wherever you found it. Leave it where it didn't do you any good anyway. You know? A person that's really good at this shouldn't have to shout it out, by the way. Yeah. People say like especially like the belt chasers, you should get yourself to be so good that everybody would question why you're not promoted yet. You shouldn't have to say anything about like, hey, so what's up? Am I gonna get promoted? The way you roll and your character. People think it's just your performance. For me, it's not just your performance on the mat. It's your character on the mat. It's your character off the mat. Yeah, we know Marcelo Garcia let go of a few black belts because they developed into something that did not match what they're about, right? And those guys are still losers today, considered, right? I don't even have to say their names, but they're talented. They know a lot of stuff, but if we want this sport to grow to its full potential, I believe it should be looked at as a benefit to the community, not a development of bullies. We're not trying to arm bullies into giving more stuff to be even more lethal. So it should be what can you do to be a positive influence in the community, and then secondly, what can we do to not just develop good kids to be better adults? What can we do to develop the adults to be better adults for the kids? Here, you don't know whose kid is who. If you come here on a Tuesday and you see all the kids running around and the parents, you'll see someone lighter skinned than Anna holding a kid dark as this table, and you think that they're just family. Everybody's kids here is everybody's kids. Everybody here is like auntie and uncle. Like Mike is like big brother, big uncle to every kid. That's how they are. That's how. You don't know whose kid belonged to who if you just came here on a Tuesday. So for the new folks is you're there to absorb. And then as you develop your skill, what can you do to give back to the academy? You know, help out with the kids class. Even if you're a white belt, you know, you can help out with the kids class. Just being an adult presence on the mat. I always tell them, just because you just started, be here. You might learn more in kids class than you do in adults class, right? Have you said that before, Jesse? Yeah, you just might. So, zero pride, zero ego, empty cup every day. Always a student. I'm still a student. I study at least an hour and a half a day. 45 minutes of it's in the shower. I let all my family take their shower, and I run out the rest of the hot water. And I have my phone on, and I'm watching matches. Current matches, not what happened 12 years ago in Abu Dhabi. None of that stuff. I'm watching what's going on right now, because I will never claim to know it all. I feel like I've barely scratched the surface. You know how it is already. You open one door, 5 more doors open.
Right.
You open that one, 5 more doors open. And then you can't even find your back to the original door that you opened because now you're so engulfed in it.
Right.
It just never ends. Yeah.
Today was one of those. Today was
Yeah.
definitely one of those.
Yeah.
The light turned on and
Happy to be part of it.
okay, there's
Yeah.
like I think you learn stuff, but you don't always see all the other avenues that are available out of
Yeah.
that one certain
Yeah.
setup,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, instead of, I wouldn't have thought to go north-south first.
Yeah.
Like I do it,
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily for the purpose that you made me aware of today.
Right. Yeah.
Because-
Why go head on with the Army?
Yeah.
That makes no sense. Bypass the Army altogether. Come back later when the Army is sleeping.
Yeah.
Why?
Pull the
Yeah.
mountains.
Pull the mountains, cut straight across. That's side control. It's in the word, control. There's no control if the guy is framing on you, bringing in his knee back to knee shield, half guard, and then, that's not control. There's no control there. Go north-south. You worried about getting side control points? You'll get it. Go north-south first. What's their only option, north-south? Turtle, right? Then go to the back. You'll have better points that way anyway, right? Okay, well, they get scared and they go just on their side. All right, Kimura grip. Now you do your attacks. What if they base out? Now you have side control.
Right.
The original one you wanted, but more control. Yeah.
And they wore themselves out.
They wore themselves out the whole time. You just wrote it out. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. If anybody wants to get in contact with you,
Sensei Studio headquarters on Instagram. There's a phone number, 209-485-4104. And everybody's invited to come. This is an open house. But all we ask is that when you come here, bring a smile. Have fun. And just know that it's a mutual blessing for you to come, because we get used to training with each other, right?
yes.
When someone else comes, it's like, I don't understand the whole flags thing. I understood it way back when, like oh, we don't cross train because whatever. We're not that here. Everybody's invited to come here. And just as much as this is our home, like I told you when you first walked in, I could teach you the stuff I'm passionate about. That don't mean shit for you, right? Especially we have size difference.
Yes.
Okay, so I never let people leave here without being able to take a plate home, just like the Filipino-Japanese tradition. Anybody who come to my mom's house, you always had to take a plate home. So I'll always ask at the end, okay, where are they catching you at your gym? And then we'll build on that. That way people feel like they got something they can use that's tangible for them, What we went over today was just, bro, that's basic, The barrel bowl roll was a little bit fun, but you see that fake to mount? That was like, you had the pass before the roll. You're just faking it just to, yeah. See the smile, Jesse? Still got it. Yeah. Hey, thank you for coming out, man. You guys are welcome here anytime. Yeah, anytime, as often as you want. And Craig, that's a good dude. I've known him for a while now, and anybody that's been under Mike, this is the feel here is. I hope you feel the same like at One World. We're like that, We don't have like, oh, you gotta have this color gi, or you gotta have. I like people expressing themselves through whatever color gi they rash guard. I don't care. Okay, maybe not that one. I remember when the first red one came out. I think it was OTM. I think it was an OTM red, or was it? I forgot which brand it was, but I remember when the first red one came out. We all looked at. It was Gumby. At One World, the original One World, when it was in Union City, he came with a red gi. We were like, is that even legal? Can you even? Now there's like the whole rainbow is out there on gi colors and stuff like that. So I understand. It looks nice to have everybody in one uniform. I will say that. I understand why, but it's here. Everyone should feel like they're coming to a place where it's a community of people that just loves that you love Jiu-Jitsu. We love that you love Jiu-Jitsu. We love that you love to have fun and help. That's our motto here is to help complete one another, not compete with one another. Yeah. We do competitions, but that's just for you to solidify for yourself that you've grown in this sport, you know? But it doesn't mean nothing really to me personally. We don't need the medals and stuff to say that what we teach works. You know, right. You'll figure that out on your own. But I do love when people come to visit us and enjoy the environment, or they say things like Jesse said, that like they've never felt an environment, or that means a lot to me, because when we say we've poured everything that we have into this place, from the board, every board that you see here. The reason why we started putting boards when I started working on this place, I couldn't afford paint. But fence boards are free, and it sure looks good, right? And my friend runs the fence company across the street, so you know how much paint costs, like a big 5-gallon bucket. So I was like, hey bro, do you have access to, he was like, yeah, how much you need? I was like, just go ahead and load up the side. Boy, he loaded up the side. I had all this old fence. So every one of these boards I started screwing in myself, and it just fit the theme. You know, I'd like to go finish the rest of the top, but it really gives you that vibe, you know, that natural kind of fun vibe. Yeah, good. Very happy. Thank you, man. Yeah. Again, thank you for being, and thank you to the viewers. And again, I hope I didn't offend anybody. If you're doing something different than what we do, keep doing that. But the one thing I will say is please make a difference in your community. Don't wait for the government to get involved. Don't wait for somebody to hand you a check that says, here, I want to help you out. If something's within your ability to do, you know.
Sometimes money doesn't need to be the deciding factor for you to help somebody.
I feel like if the harder it has been to make this happen, I feel like people would genuinely feel that presence here. I feel, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You ever see people make a structure out of toothpicks? Yes. You ever see? And you think of how much time that took. You don't even want to touch that thing. You have so much respect, and you just like put that shit in a glass case. Like make that, you know, that. And I feel like when people come here, they're like, there's something special here. And what they don't know is the sacrifice was real. This came from me having, my kids and I had no way to survive. No way to survive. I was still like cutting hair illegally through COVID, because the thing with COVID is you could shut the world down, but hair still grows. And so there were still people willing to get haircuts, and that's how we fed our families through COVID. But it literally wiped us out. We literally had no way to survive as a family, me and my kids, at the time. So again, we're not, you know, it's still a struggle, but if you see the positivity and the positive influence we're making in the community, even if it was just for one of those kids or one of those adults, it was all worthwhile. It's all worthwhile, yeah.
The old grappler, subscribe, make a comment, drop a comment, do what you gotta do. I don't know how this works, but check it out, man.
Try to get me in